welcome to Enough Said. I'm Mike.
I'm Clay.
And we're here to talk about some movies. We got a pretty good show this week. I'm really excited about a couple of these films, but I think first we should start by talking about the Oscars that just happened. The results, some controversial, some less so. So, first of all, Best Picture winner. Did you see it?
I did not
Wanted to,
but it didn't play around here.
Yeah, no, that's tough. It's one of those ones where I feel like it came out at the beginning of last year, so it had a really long tail.
I know it was at Cannes. It played at Cannes, and that's how I learned about it because it did really well. Everyone loved it, and you were hearing all this buzz about it, and it turned out I haven't really heard a negative review of anyone who's seen Nora.
Now, from what I understand, it's basically Pretty Woman, but with like Russian mobsters.
Yep, and that's the thing is like the twist is one of the early critics who saw it. I remember he said like he thought the twist was going to be that it was going to go dark, but because then when the Russian mobsters show up, you think, oh, that's where it's going to get scary. It'd be a thriller, but then it's like, no, it's still a comedy after that. It doesn't change up, and this is it was delightful, and that everyone loved it, and it was just the performance and just the script that they weren't expecting it, and that's one of the things they were delighted about it.
Now, what are some disappointments from? I mean, I have a few.
Okay, but I think we share the same disappointment. We've talked about this.
Every time.
We really wanted Ralph Fiennes to win the Oscar for Best Actor.
I don't want to say poor Ralph Fiennes, but gosh, man, it's tough.
Yeah, he's great. He's one of those wonderful actors. Yeah. And it's like when you realize he hasn't actually won an Oscar yet. It's
burns me.
Why not?
Burns me.
And this was a good one to win it for because Conclave. A lot of people saw it, and a lot of people liked it.
Yeah.
And that's another one. Like I never heard a single person say they didn't like Conclave.
Not to say that Adrian Brody isn't also great and doesn't also deserve recognition and awards. I love Adrian Brody. Big fan. I'm a huge fan of the movie Predators, which is going to sound insane.
But he's the lead of it.
He's the lead, and he kills it. Everyone was making fun of him. That man gained like 40 pounds of pure muscle. He looks cut, and he did it just to play an Arnold Schwarzenegger like facsimile. And he goes from The Pianist, where he weighs 90 pounds, like 3 to 4 years later, he's like yoked. People are just jealous.
Yeah, I think you might be right up to that. But that was the thing is. Because I don't have Adrian Brody's fine. I like his work. He clearly is
Splice, another great movie he's in.
Yes, a good sign. Because he's done a variety of stuff, too.
Yeah.
And the thing is, but the funny thing is, he's won 2 Oscars now for playing World War II.
He knows where the money's at.
That's where it is. And
I'll be happy if then now he goes and makes 9 other movies like Splice and Predators.
Well, he probably will because it seemed to work for him. Like he wins an Oscar and then for 20 years, then he does a bunch of kind of sci-fi genre-related stuff, and then he comes back and gets another Oscar.
Does comedies, does all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and he's done it all a little bit. So very talented.
But I mean, Ralph Fiennes has been dependable and incredible for 30 years.
And it's kind of the same thing, too, because he's done the genre stuff, too.
Yeah.
He's done fantasy, sci-fi, action.
He was Voldemort.
He was M in some of the James Bond movies recently. So he's done it all.
Menu? Again, great.
Oh, yeah, he's done it all. He can play sinister, but he can play funny, too. But he can also, with Conclave, kind of play the warm, sensible person in the room, too.
Yeah.
That you respect. So he can... It would have been nice just like... But, the good thing about him is he'll probably get nominated again.
I hope so.
Pretty soon, too.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a yearly nomination kind of actor, but he's always delivering a performance that's worthy of it.
That's what I was thinking, because, the person who seems to be becoming a yearly one is Timothy Chalamet.
I know.
And so it's like, I knew he was going to win, because he was going to get it again for something else.
Well, Stephen had mentioned earlier about how the Academy has no problem lobbing awards at women in their 20s, but they are allergic to giving it to men in their 20s.
Yeah, you don't give it to young guys too often, because...
Well, here's the thing. They're going to have a longer career, which is a shame, but that's just a fact. Which,
Yeah.
Because even think about some of the actresses in the last 20 years that you thought, this person's never going to go away. Where are they now?
Yep.
Stephen pointed out that Jennifer Lawrence hasn't made a movie in 2 years.
Yep.
I think the only thing I saw Amy Adams in this year was Night Bitch, and that was like, came and went.
Which is a shame. That's another one I wanted to see, but it didn't play around here too much.
Yeah.
That's the other thing here. And of course, this Oscars, Demi Moore, everyone was talking about. She came back after this late career resurgence here with this new movie, and everyone loved the movie. But the thing is, it also, and I think what hurt her is, it's a genre thing. It's a
Yep.
horror movie, so that kind of made people, I think, a little nervous about that. But it was, man, it probably. That's the other weird thing though. I've noticed the Oscars do kind of generally like giving awards to movies about the film industry, and technically she's playing an actress, who's trying to deal with the fact that aging. That was literally the plot of that movie, but the subtext.
That's a beloved frame for a story nowadays.
So it's like, if that's the sad thing, because if not, I don't know if she can't win it for this. I don't know when.
I mean, I'm sure she will have additional opportunities.
I'll give her some other big roles. I don't know. Maybe she'll have another career resurgence. Is just doing horror movies now. That might be something too.
All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and take a look forward now? We'll take a look at trailer for Novocaine, which I'm kind of excited about. Let's take a look.
So, what's your deal?
My deal? I'm just a regular guy with a regular job, but I've got this condition where I don't feel pain. Hey, there we go.
Oh my god, you're a superhero. Can you feel this?
Definitely feeling something. Last night was amazing.
Get on the ground! Open the vault! Cops are here early! We need a hostage! Let's go!
Oh my god, what am I doing? I just want to know where Sherry is.
You ever fired a gun before?
So those are definitely third degree, so you're gonna want to run it under some cool water.
Look at you, now look at me. Look at you, now look at me. How you like?
Hey man, you okay?
Why don't you just call the police?
Do you think I'm in on this?
Manslaughter, Grand Theft Auto.
Do you know what it's like to wait your whole life to meet someone? Someone who finally gives your life meaning? Would you wait around for someone else to save her? Or would you do it yourself?
So it looks like kind of a rom-com / action comedy.
Oh yeah.
I'm super on board. I like Jack Quaid. I've seen a couple of his movies. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's going to be great. And we've talked about this before. It's just the romantic comedies, but also even romantic action films, and kind of like that. They've been kind of going away for wayside. We haven't seen them too much. Just I think they got replaced a little bit by comic book movies becoming the mainstay.
Oh.
But these used to be much more common and beloved. They could really sell the tickets for a long time. But it's kind of returning, it looks like. And
Hopefully.
I think the big edge with this one is they decided, okay, comedy action, romantic comedy action, but we're also going to put in the real gore effects, because this is just a chance for us to beat up on this character and keep him going. And part of me thinks, I think they probably learned that. Maybe they learned a lesson from, in some sense, from Deadpool. We can kind of get the slapstick kind of look.
It's essentially a Deadpool character.
Yeah, it kind of is, except it's not that he doesn't regenerate. He just doesn't feel the pain. And it's a clever idea, and it's just something different they haven't tried. Like, what would happen if a guy who is not technically strong or intimidating, but he just can take a beating. He won't. He keep going.
I mean, that's really just pulling out the string of the premise of every action. Because the characters themselves are always these superhero style people who can take far more punishment than any reasonable person could ever sustain. So you've taken that premise and now you're turning it up to the highest possible.
Yeah, it's level, and we have the benefit of this guy. He's not this big jacked dude who doesn't really exist super tough. Yeah, he does. He has the everyman physique, and he has just a normal everyday job. And his abilities are basically he's not super strong. He can take a beating. That's really it. Yeah. That's it. He's not an expert shot. He can't do all these great planning or whatever. He has no idea what he's doing. You see most of his most of what he does is fail.
I love him throwing the knife.
He throws the knife and it doesn't work. And that's a good classic action trope that I think was lost. Someone reminded me of this, like they were talking about the Indiana Jones movies. What makes them so good is how many times Indiana Jones fails. He's not able to do what he wants to do, and he has like, all right, plan B, let's try something else, or he succeeds, but it causes another problem. And it's just like everything but he succeeds just despite himself, and that's kind of looks like they're bringing that aesthetic back, where it's like, this is a guy who's going to fail a bunch, we're going to watch him screw up and not get everything right, but he doesn't give up, and he just keeps coming back for more, and he just wins out of persistence.
It's the old, the Vin Diesel contract where they can't lose any fight ever, and it's just boring. Or is it The Rock? I can't remember who it was. Somebody's got.
I think that might have been Steven Seagal too, or something.
Oh,
There's a bunch of action stars who had that thing where it's like, I can't lose fight. Well, it's boring, man.
Yeah.
We don't want to see that. We want to see our heroes try to get beat up and fail a few times and come back.
Yeah. Batman always comes back. That's what makes him so interesting. Is he gets beat up by Bane and then he comes back.
Exactly. And even in some of the other movies, he usually fails a little bit against one of the super villains, and then he's like, oh, I gotta figure out a plan B and figure this out. Or, the most classic is Rocky, who he usually loses at first, and then he has to figure out the way to win.
For sure.
And you never know. And that makes it, because it also increases the drama, because it's like, maybe he won't. Maybe he won't succeed. And then, even in this movie, I think they'll probably have a happy ending. There's no Kate.
Or maybe he dies. I don't know.
That's the thing. There might be like a weird bittersweet ending where he saves the girl, but he does die. But
from like a lot of internal bleeding.
Yeah, because there's just like, because they go into that, like, or he ends up in a coma or something weird happens like that. But it'll be exciting to see where they go with it. But it's definitely something I want to watch. And of course, Jack Quaid, he's a up and coming actor he's great. Most of the stuff I see him in, he pops up in a lot of stuff here and there in the background. A lot of comedies for the most part with what he's been doing.
Yeah, I watched. I think he had a rom-com called Plus One that I thought was pretty good. He was obviously in The Boys, and I watched the first season and a half of that. And I thought that was really good. I didn't finish it because I have too many children and cannot watch it when they're awake.
Sure. Well, he's also been in the new Star Trek shows too.
Yes, I mean. Yeah. I've seen all of Lower Decks, and I love Lower Decks.
Yeah,
that's just his voice.
That's his voice.
But he was in the one episode.
They did that live action. The character appered in live action too, and he does play the live action version of the character. He's great. He can do it. He's like, it's so funny because he had a small role in Oppenheimer as well. And then he was also in the 5th Scream movie. That's where I first saw him. Now that's not a comedy, but his character is kind of funny. A little bit. He's the kind of the comic relief, and even a little bit in Oppenheimer, if I remember correctly. His was one of the rare characters who was kind of doing levity in these serious times. So that's kind of what he's used for. You like that?
Yeah. No, I think he's good, and I look forward to seeing more from him. I'll probably end up watching this one at some point just to
check it out.
Just to check it out. I like to watch all these movies.
Love it.
All right, well, we'll take a look at the next trailer here. It looks like we got the trailer for Mickey 17 with Robert Pattinson. It's Bong Joon-ho's new movie. Take a look.
On Earth, nothing was working out, and I wanted to get the hell out of there.
You're applying to be an expendable? You read through the paperwork.
Yeah. I should have read through it.
That's it. Mickey, deep breaths, fill your lungs. Imagine there's an unknown virus in the air,
and you're sucking in every single microscopic particle floating around.
All the viruses.
So good?
There really was an unknown virus in the air. Lethal one.
See you tomorrow.
Fellow pioneers, almost every single one of you will be remembered throughout history.
They made me work my ass off, giving me one shitty mission after another.
You're an expendable. You're here to be expended.
Every time I died, they just printed me out again. Everyone asks, what's it feel like to die? The ship was filled with mostly dickheads. But Nasha, she's always loved me. That's when everything changed. Multiples.
In the case of multiples, we exterminate every individual.
Which body goes first? One at a time is twice the fun.
You don't look like you're printed out. You're just a person.
It's not your fault. This is a fight to the death.
The simple fact is,
We're in a state of war, and our survival is in the balance.
I got a job to do.
Mickey Barnes, fighting right to the end.
My great gift to mankind. Are you afraid to die? This time I wasn't scared.
I am unreasonably excited about this one.
Unreasonably.
I mean, I love science fiction with just a deep passion, and this looks perfect.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm so excited.
Well, what are you most excited about with this one?
Well, for one thing, I'm really interested in what I suspect will be a strong commentary on the working class dynamic. I think that the proposition of the film, as I see it in this trailer, is a commentary on the working class exploitation by a class of corporate fascists, essentially. It reminds me a lot of Moon.
Yep.
It looks inspired visually by that as well. It looks to be just another stitch in the fabric of great science fiction. Back to Metropolis. You know, we're talking about the idea of using clones as slave labor, essentially. Expendable workforce that can be replaced, and then when replaced, cannibalize each other, which I think is fantastic. And the moment where he lies down next to each other and immediately attacks himself is just, I think, a powerful visual message for that. But and also on top of all that, it just looks like fun. It looks awesome.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking too. Is you mentioned Moon, and I was like, okay, yeah. When I first saw this trailer, like, oh, are they just trying to do a different version of Moon? But I was also even thinking of, because we got a montage of different deaths there. I was like, part of me was even thinking, not quite the same, but I was thinking of Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise. And I was like, ooh, is this just kind of a combination of those two concepts into one movie? But the thing, there's two things that kind of made this one stand out. They're going for comedy. That's it. Those other two references, those aren't intended to be comedy. This one is. This one's clearly trying to be a little fun, so that they'll make it a little maybe easier to go down. But then we got our director, and he Oscar winner for Parasite, but he's also done so many other good science fiction works and other material. And I was surprised that because when I first saw the trailer, I didn't know it was his work, and then until I came up with there, I'm like, it's not exactly a departure because he's done with working class stories too before. So this is in the ballpark for exactly what he would do. But I was just still, he's such one of our more talented writer director. So I'm just that we trust him. I trust him that it's going to be something special. We'll see here. But also, you mentioned this before the show here, but we got Robert Pattinson.
I mean, I don't think anybody I could trust more in terms of picking projects. In the last 8 to 10 years, everything he's picked has been working with somebody with incredible talent, working on really interesting ideas, working in just crazy movies that should not and do not appear to function on the surface, but are actually fantastic. Because of him and his performance. I mean, The King, Lighthouse, even Batman. He's on a really incredible run right now, and I feel like it's kind of underrated, and I don't think people are appreciating how uniquely talented he is right now.
Well, it's a good point because he can pretty much make whatever movie he wants. To some extent, he's
got that Twilight money.
He's got the Twilight money. Well, even before that, he had some Harry Potter money.
I mean, he was in one movie.
But still, he could in some ways write his own check, whatever kind of movie he wanted to be in. He keeps choosing weird stuff. He doesn't go for
interesting stuff.
No, it's interesting, but he doesn't choose. He's not choosing the safe way. He could go safe.
Never.
I mean, there's an argument that the Batman was safe, but no, I would argue not so much because he was going to get torn apart by the film games. Although he took that role because he wanted to. He wanted to play Batman. He wanted to play Batman. That was why he did it. He says, I have to play Batman. This sounds amazing. And that's fun because we get an actor who's just making movies that they want to make. So that means when you see him in a movie, it
You
means
want to be
he
there.
likes the movie.
Yeah.
At least he likes it.
And we're on the same wavelengths, apparently.
Yeah, I think he is actually probably on my wavelength
Yeah.
too, because the movies that I see him in, I'm like, that's good. That's some good stuff. And his performance is this looks like one more different ones because it's very difficult because he's a pretty good looking man, but he's trying to ugly himself up a little bit for this one. It's hard. I don't know if that might be the difficult part, but he's trying to make himself.
I mean, he does a pretty good job in The King, where he plays the Dauphin of France, and he's just like, oh my god, what is this guy?
But he's the voice the voice he's doing for Mickey here.
He loves his voices.
Yeah, it's making him kind of mousy, kind of geeky.
You haven't seen The King, but he does a voice of The King that is just insane.
I have to check this one out then. Yeah, that's that's a great. That's just it's great to have him as the lead there of this too. And we got Mark Ruffalo's in this as well. He always brings a strong performance here, but playing looks like one of the corporate overlords.
I think he's kind of the head dickhead.
We got a couple other big name actors there in the background too. So it's this is going to be probably one of the more talked about sci-fi things.
I'm lining up at the theater to go see this. I didn't even realize it was coming out on the 7th. I'm like, I rearranged my schedule, gotta move some stuff around. I gotta get out there.
And that's it will probably do. I'm fairly optimistic that this one will do pretty well, and probably maybe it'll become one of Robert Pattinson's more loved movies.
There's a weird window in the first week of March where we do tend to get some bigger sci-fi films. You know. I mean, Dune 2 came out last year. I mean, this one this year.
Yeah, March is a pretty good month for some experimental, different kind of films.
Yeah,
I feel
65 I think came out in March 2 years ago.
Yep.
I liked that one. Adam Driver again, guy who picks great scripts.
Well, and I was just thinking about actually, it was in 2017, but we got their first big Jordan Peele horror film in March as well. So actually, I think a lot of his movies were released in March, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But
was Note March?
It might have been.
Like
It was the early part of the spring, or maybe
that was
I'll have to double check. That may have been a later one, but I know I always remember.
Honestly, Clay, we shouldn't know this. This isn't something we should have off the top.
You're right. If we knew this stuff off the top of it, I'm always there's always every now and then.
There should be room in here for
someday we'll ask what's the most, because there's a lot of movie trivia there that people know.
Yeah.
But what's the most you're almost disappointed that movie trivia fact that you're disappointed that why do I know that?
I'm pretty disappointed that I just found out that 65 came out in March.
Yeah,
I mean, it's only 2 years old.
It's a strange one that's
Yeah.
I'm always some of the every now and then maybe you've run into this where a friend Clay, why did you know that? You should have known that.
It's stuck, that's why. It's stuck. That's the only explanation. All right, time to talk about one of the more controversial ones for many reasons. I don't necessarily like some of the controversies, but I also am not. Well, it's Snow White. We'll go take a look at the
watch
trailer.
Snow White. Let's do Snow White.
Get tickets now for the magical, musical, movie event.
It's time. This is my kingdom.
You dare to disobey me?
The queen stole it from all of us. Come on.
In theaters March 21st.
Find Snow White.
Stand up.
Let's go! Oh my!
Cheer. And experience the Disney classic like never before. Disney's Snow White.
Can you point me in the right direction?
Only in theaters March 21st. Rated PG. Get tickets now.
So, all right, I've got a lot of thoughts. But first and foremost, I just want to get out of the way that one of the big controversies apparently was that Snow White wasn't. One of the biggest controversies apparently was that Snow White wasn't white enough for some people, which is the most deranged and pathetic thing I've ever heard in my entire life. That being said, I deeply hate all of these live action remakes except Cinderella. I don't really care for the Beauty and the Beast. I don't like The Lion King. The Jungle Book was okay. And the only one I've actually enjoyed at all, particularly, was the Cinderella one.
How'd you feel about Maleficent?
No, I didn't like it. I didn't like any of them. I don't like any of them. And I just watched Snow White like 3 weeks ago. No, I want to be clear. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Because if we get rid of the name, they just disappear for some reason. I don't get it. And it honestly, I think it's overrated. It's a good movie. And you know, it has its place in cinema history as being one of the first feature-length animated films. And for that, I deeply respect it. It's a great movie. Story's awesome. A lot of fun. Great characters. Music's great. But is it this huge pillar and totem of like, you know, everybody's favorite movie? And it's I'm a guy probably a little biased on this one, but it's fine. My daughter thought it was fine too. You know, God, I gotta slow down just a little bit here.
Calm down. We'll calm down.
So, this is the most unnecessary, and I'm just mad that it exists. That being said, it doesn't look that bad.
Okay.
It looks alright.
Well, I'll start out with I'll disagree with you on one thing. You said this is the most unnecessary of these Disney remakes. No, that was The Lion King.
It's just an animated movie.
That was it.
It's animated.
We did not need that live action Lion King. Now here's the thing.
You're right.
This will be
100% right.
We just had the live action prequel to Lion King, Mufasa. That was probably more necessary because at least that's a different story.
Exactly.
So I will allow that one because you're doing something different, kind of interesting. You know, I still didn't see it, but you know, I was like, because it's like, did I need that? And you know, these Disney remakes, like for the longest time, I said Maleficent was the one I liked because again, it was a different story.
Yes.
We're just getting an alternate version of the same story told from the villain's perspective. That's different. That's something unique. I like that. Just repeating the same story over and over again. Now you mentioned Cinderella.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of people like Cinderella too because it was just well done. It looked pretty.
Didn't feel like a remake.
Yeah,
it felt like another Cinderella
version,
adaptation.
which is another thing here that's very important to point out. And this is one of the things that I was most annoyed about is this. We've gotten so many Snow White stories. Every few years we get a new Snow White story, and it's not necessarily the Disney one because it's just it's an old legend, so anyone can mine it.
Exactly.
You don't have to be Disney; anyone can take it. So we had all these alternate versions of it that they tried to do. We had
feel like I watched
ones for a while.
the Kristen Stewart one.
Yeah.
Like,
and the same
in theaters 15 years ago.
And the same time, almost the same exact time that one was coming out, they had another one coming out and I don't even remember all the different. Like one, I was always like, who's playing the evil queen? Like, one of them, it was Charlize Theron was the evil queen, and another one was Julia Roberts was the evil queen. Maybe?
Okay, Charlize Theron was the Kristen Stewart one because I saw that one.
Yeah,
I didn't see the Julia Roberts.
Well, that Julia Roberts was more comedic, so I think that's why a lot of people forgot. But that one was probably closer to the Disney one. But then they made a sequel to the Charlize Theron one because of the Huntsman had to bring in.
Oh, that's right. They did make a sequel.
Yeah,
they
did.
No, I didn't see that. I didn't.
There's even, I remember, and it's one of those things that I'm sad I know this, but I remember in 1995, they made a scary version of Snow White where the evil queen was played by Sigourney Weaver.
Okay.
It was really creepy.
I'm into that. I'm into that idea.
She could control wolves. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And actually, they called it Snow White: A Tale of Terror. That was its full title.
I just remember the Kristen Stewart one being really poorly edited. Just like I couldn't follow what was happening in the whole. It was that period. You remember that period from like 2008 to like 2017, where just like you couldn't tell what was happening ever in any movie because all of the action was just like.
But it was enough to excite people and get a sequel, which is, and that's my thing. It's like okay.
I blame you, Jason Bourne.
I do. But Bourne's the only one who gets away with that friend and they get it. Everyone
I feel
else.
like there's 2 or 3 other movies where it worked, but it was everyone else tried to do it. Didn't work. Bad.
But getting back to this movie,
I'm sorry. Yes,
they are remake. It's a remake of Disney. They're going for the images, the same color pattern, everything from that original. It was 1937 version of it that they had, which was the first full-length animated film. It was Disney showing off, look what we can do.
Yeah.
It looks great. Like, wow, they did that in 37. That's amazing. But Disney never felt the need to make this remake until now. It's like of all.
You wonder why? Because they're desperate.
They probably to some extent.
Creatively bankrupt.
These live-action remake thing, this whole trend, kind of started with Maleficent, which wasn't even a remake necessarily.
You're wrong actually.
Which
it
one?
started with Alice in Wonderland, didn't it?
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
You're right. It was Alice in Wonderland. They did one, but even that one was
101 Dalmatians.
Oh no.
That's the night. Well, I mean, there's an argument for that because that was again back in the 90s too. But there was also a live-action Jungle Book I tried in the 90s.
I'm gonna chalk it up to the CGI schlock remakes.
That
we will start with Alice in
Yeah.
Wonderland. We're the half an animated film anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing is, and that's kind of what I had issue with watching this one is like that is
the
it's
dwarves are CGI.
It's CGI. It's like why we had an animated version. Why do we want a new? We don't. It's animated again.
I
They're
have a personal conspiracy theory about this one, and I'm gonna go off on a real limb here and say, they pumped up that Peter Dinklage quote just so they could get rid of the dwarves, just so they could do CGI mess.
Dwarves are in it.
There's no little people actors though.
It's
And they blame Peter Dinklage for saying, I don't think they should cast because it's demeaning to have a bunch of dwarves. Which, somebody asked him an off quote in an interview and he didn't even realize what he was saying and he has since apologized and regretted it. And Disney blasted it out there, well, we shouldn't cast dwarves anyway.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, and maybe this is me, I'm not clear on this here exactly, but the dwarves in the show I always kind of assumed just like in Lord of the Rings, the dwarves, they were mythical characters.
Exactly.
They're not actually supposed to be little people.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So it's like, and that's why they're minors too, because that's
They're dwarves, like the classical medieval fiction.
That's how we're going with this
Tolkien
thing.
dwarves.
So it's something that
When I was a kid, I thought that the dwarves in The Hobbit were the ones from Snow White. Like I legitimately watched the 1980s Hobbit animated film, and I thought to myself, oh my God!
Maybe they should.
Snow White dwarves have a horrible backstory.
I mean, why not? Sure, why not? And speaking of, remember I told you about the horror one from 1995, the Tale of Terror one. In that one, they're not dwarves in that one. They're religious exiles that the Catholic Church was persecuting.
I'm fine with it. I just, for some reason as a child, that was what my brain connected to, is I thought that The Hobbit was a prequel to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Well, why not?
Why not?
We'll have a discussion about that sequels that aren't really sequels, but it would be fun if they were. But
I think it would be horrifying if they were.
Well, they have a happy ending in this one. But again, it's just another one of those movies they're doing this. It is a big just push for capitalism. We need to let's not create anything new. Let's just look. Let's take our IP out. What do we got? Oh, we have never touched this one, and it's our first cartoon. Let's do it again and see what we can get out of it, and mine all the fields for it, and see what happens.
I mean, anything that creatively bankrupt is going to be beset by complications and controversies.
Sure.
It's beginning to end as it has been, and probably should have been. And when I want to say I do not agree with 90% of the criticism I hear about this film, I do not agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to call it a soulless cash grab, by all means, I encourage you to do so.
I would.
If you want to complain about the casting, I think you're looking in the wrong place.
Yeah, the cast.
I think the casting's fine.
Casting's perfect.
I think I like the Evil Queen. I think that's a great casting. I think Rachel Ziegler, I think whatever her name is.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, she's a great.
She looks fine. She looks good. I haven't seen much she's been.
Just personality-wise from the stuff I've seen her, and she in a way.
She's a great musical performer.
Very musical, yeah. Okay. This is what she should be. She should be Snow White. Great cast.
Sounds good to me.
That's not the issue. It's just I want something a little different. The movies that we've already mentioned that we like of the Disney, when they do a Disney remake, it's the stuff that's kind of experimental, a little different.
And, we're saying all this, haven't seen none of the movies.
It's true.
Maybe it's going to be a new take that we really enjoy.
Yeah, maybe
I'm always open to that.
Yeah, maybe there's just something in it that we're really going to love about it. It's like, oh, that's great. They really adapted it for our times, and they really got a new, different, fascinating telling of it.
In a month, when we do the show, I'll be the first one to say, wow, we're really wrong about Snow White. It was great. Had a bunch of different new things in it. I'm really excited for but I don't think that's what's going to happen. Yeah. Just like with Brave New World, where we're like, I hope we're wrong, but then...
Yeah, it's just... Although Brave New World, it's probably fine.
Probably fine. Yeah.
But, it's just like that. And that's, maybe the deep secret of a lot of these movies is most of them just like, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. Do they deserve to exist?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But you always hope for something better that you're going to
Exactly. I'm always more excited for the stuff that I think is going to be unique, original, and fun.
It takes a risk, maybe.
Yeah, something we'll remember in 10 years. That's the hope.
Yeah, this will be a trivia fact. Like, remember that time that they remade Wizard of, or whatever they're making
Snow
here,
White.
Snow White, or whatever, and then it'll be just another one. Believe it or not, there was a 2025 Snow White.
Yeah.
Was there? Because I remember the one from 2030, because they'll probably will be.
Yeah. God, don't give them that idea. Just like you put out into the air that they were going to push Daffy Duck last week. Now, oops, not coming out until the middle of March. Which, you know what? Fingers crossed it actually comes out, because at this point, I got no faith in Warner Brothers. All right. Moving on. Total digression. What is the? I think we're taking a look at Death of a Unicorn next. We'll take a look at that.
Where are you off to?
Black bag.
To be with someone in this business, you each know what you know and you never discuss certain things. I would do anything for you.
Would you?
Yes.
You got a breach.
One of our people stole something.
You cannot imagine the damage. Find the leak.
Give me 2 weeks.
Thousands of innocent people will die.
Okay? 1 week. Who's the suspect?
Your wife.
When you can lie about everything, how do you tell the truth about anything?
You think this is normal? The way you're doing this?
Maybe this is all your greatest game, George.
It's a very dangerous line of work.
I'll say.
Would you kill for me, George?
Okay, well, I hate Steven Soderbergh. It's one of those guys. Everyone. You know what? Steven gives me a lot of breath for this, but I don't like him. I don't like him. I like one of the Ocean's movies. Aaron Brockovich, and that is it. I'm done with everything else. Don't even call me about it.
All right. Well, we can discuss why you're done with him. Was there specific traits that it's just?
I mean, part of it is just like a little bit of jealousy, because he gets to work with all the best actors in every one of his movies, and I'll tell you right now, it's frustrating to watch him take all those great talents and make a mediocre movie.
Oh, that's maybe a good argument to make here, because I was just thinking about
it's like all of his movies are fine.
Yeah, that's the thing, is there's a level of quality and well execution in a lot of his films. You mentioned Ocean's 11 movies. He did Logan Lucky a few years back, which I like, but at the same time, it's a good movie, but it's not anything huge.
Think about how many,
but he took all these great actors out of play.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you're like, what?
He
maybe
must
that's
be really fun to work with. That's my only thought.
Oh, I guarantee
he's got to be.
Well, he's just good. I think a lot of the actors have just nothing but good things to say about him. They've done good work with him, and you're right. But that's the thing, is that's probably one of his powers. He can bring in all these really
Huge
good actors,
casts.
great cast, and do ensemble films here about these really different things, and they're usually in the genre of some kind of action or heist movie kind of thing.
I'm not a person who hates automatically anyone who could do that, because Wes Anderson pulls together a huge cast of incredibly talented actors. But you know what he does? He then goes and makes really interesting movies.
Yeah, he does. Yes, he does. And that's the thing, is I don't know how many of Soderbergh's films that there are several that we do kind of still talking, like the Ocean's films.
Yeah, Aaron Brockovich.
Aaron Brockovich.
I can think of maybe two. Like Steven, two movies.
But then it's
like,
the other
great
films
movies.
Then it's then you kind of like, okay, yeah, they're pretty good. But then it's because a lot of the films you do.
When's the last time you talked about Haywire?
Exactly.
Does anyone even know what that is?
Yeah, exactly. But he's kind of just that journeyman director to some extent. He's just kind of doing whatever we can.
People love him like he's some huge pillar of cinema. It's like he's fine.
But maybe that's what it is. He consistently can create a level of quality.
I'd rather somebody go on a 4 or 5 film tear, make 5 great movies. Give me John Carpenter.
Sure.
He's made like 8 great movies, and then just a bunch of junk. You know? And
yeah. Well, I think that's the problem, is if they make too many bad ones in a row, they won't let you make another one. So they have to.
Maybe that's what Soderbergh is clinging to.
Now this one here, it looks like a little bit kind of close, going back to the Haywire thing, because this is a film where it's a spy thriller. That's what it clearly is, but it's also that spy thriller thing where it's like their personal life got in there too.
Yeah.
So it's not just like they can't be all business because he's distracted by the fact that his wife's involved in this.
Yeah.
And maybe she's the villain, maybe she's not. I don't know. We'll have to watch the film and figure out that out. And it's that paranoid spy thriller thing that, you know, we've seen other ones like this. I know there's another movie that's probably coming out here in a little bit. I know that Rami Malek's in, where it's like he's a spy guy, but he's the tech support, and he's avenging his wife's death. That's coming out in a little bit too. That looks, actually, I'm more excited about that one than this one, because this one is like they're perfectly professionals. We knew nothing wrong. Everything is right. Our ties are always straight, and we're just the perfect spy force here. But oh no, personal stuff got involved. Oh, isn't that awkward? Kind of thing.
I mean, my favorite spy movies are, you know, ones that I feel like don't follow that like tight-laced, you know, James Bond style. Like I love 3 Days of the Condor.
Yeah.
I love True Lies. You know, I find these ones to be a little this it just feels like he was mad that he didn't get to direct a James Bond movie ever. And he's like, give me all the Bonds!
Well, he got one of the Bonds. That's Pierce Brosnan in there, clearly.
I know!
So
and like, Michael Fassbender could easily have been Bond at some point,
yes,
you know?
he could have. And I think that might be just kind of what they're going for here. So, this movie, I'm kind of excited. I think it could be fairly interesting, but I fear you're correct in that we might not be remembering this one.
No, we'll forget about this.
Because we'll get confused. Was that the spy movie where it was like the Rami Malek? Was it this guy? I think that might be the problem with that one, because sometimes it's just. It also has, and we already mentioned it. It has a weird Jason Bourne level, like that filter in it too. It just reminds me a little bit like. I'm not going to remember this from the other spy films that I saw. It's going to look, I'm going to blend together and get confused. I'm not sure what I'm watching.
Was that Mission Impossible 4 or Mission Impossible 9? No one knows.
Well, the Mission Impossible movies, I would argue, do stand out a little bit.
I know, but they all blend together.
But you're right. It's like, was that the plot MacGuffin in that Mission Impossible?
No,
or that one's like
the first one stands out from the rest, but then the rest of them kind of start to bleed together, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're kind of right. But that's the other thing too. At least they, even still, we always get these like spy movies that it's like we're in the office mostly, and we're just talking about politics and like, oh, who you can trust and the nature of spycraft, and they're all stuffy and stuff like that. Like, kind of miss the gadgets that they have in the Bond movie or something.
Yeah,
like that too.
You know what was a good one? I don't know if it's necessarily a spy movie, but it was Hannah. Do you remember Joe Wright?
Oh, I do.
I love that one. That was really good.
That was unique. It's a kid. They're going after a kid who's been basically engineered to be a fighter.
Yep.
It makes it just a little bit darker too, because it's always just like. They're obviously the spy agency is really up to something.
And I also like Eric Bana too.
Oh yeah,
I think he's a good actor.
Yeah.
Troy, Black Hawk Down, even Ang Lee's The Hulk.
Yep. He's a great one. I like that him too. Underrated. And you know, my hope for this movie is we're really gonna get some Fassbender gets to really show his stuff.
I think he can't help it.
Yeah.
Every time he's on screen, he's the best thing that's happening.
It's true.
I mean, my only exception is in Alien Covenant, where he's almost the worst part of that movie through no fault of his own, because he has to deliver just the most obnoxious exposition for the entire movie. It's like, okay, let's write the most obnoxious stuff and have the best actor in the world stand there and try to make it interesting for an hour.
Yeah, that'll be, and I hope that's not what they're doing with this movie.
I don't think so. No.
Looks like they put the exposition on other people who are talking to him. So maybe they've solved that problem.
I mean, you don't need as much exposition as they try to shoehorn into Covenant. No. So, I mean, which is a shame, because Covenant is pretty good. I like a lot about Covenant, but that is not the parts that I like.
Well, we'll see. I mean, this movie, Black Bag, a lot of these spy movies, they look like a lot of them are exposition heavy because they got to put twists and turns in there too. So it's it'll probably be okay again. Like we said, I think Soderbergh has just that level of quality where I don't think he can make a terrible film, but you know.
I can't think of any terrible films.
No, he's never done anything terrible.
He's made a lot of forgettable ones.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
So much so that I can not think of any of his other movies.
Well, we don't waste enough time on it. We can move on.
Yes.
What else?
Okay, so now we're going to take a look at Death of a Unicorn, which is another one that I'm really excited for.
We'll actually get to that.
This entire nature preserve was donated by the Leopold.
It's truly untouched by man.
spot any big game on the way in.
The fuck was that? Must be moose mating season or something.
Aren't you the most magnificent thing?
Unicorns used to be seen like these divine monsters because people fully believe that they could heal literally anything.
It's an opportunity for immortality.
We have a moral imperative to harvest every last one.
They're gonna kill us.
Called it. There's no negotiating with monsters.
Well, I mean, that was wild.
Yeah.
Just wild. I'm really excited.
Me too. I saw this trailer about a month ago, actually, and I thought
it was fake.
I knew it was real, but the first one I saw leaned more in on a comedy. The one we just saw here is a little, almost more like making it a horror. But this is, I'm pretty sure this is mostly just really going to lean into the comedy, which is a good thing. Too.
Yeah.
And I think this is kind of what we're talking about with taking risks. This is not a slam dunk necessarily.
Nope.
It's original story. And how many stories have you had where like, oh, there's unicorns real and they're gonna attack you and they might be dangerous.
I'm just because of the mythical creature angle of it, I'm immediately reminded of the movie Troll Hunter from 2011, which I just watched the other day with my kids, and it's a really fun movie. This looks like a totally different kind of premise, but the similar thing where the mythical creatures are real, they're hunting them, and I'm really happy that they're going to lean into a lot of the comedy on this. They got a great cast for it, with Will Poulter there, Paul Rudd, and Jenna Ortega, who has done some comedic stuff in her day. But I just think it looks visually impressive too.
Yes.
They picked a great location, and doesn't look like you're going to rely too much on visual effects. There's definitely going to be some for the unicorn, but
not because even that one shot of it kind of snarling at her, I'm not sure, but it looks like there was some practical effect in what worked.
It could just be really good.
It could be some good visual effects. Hard to say.
Yeah.
But I think some of it will be real, just because looks like they're probably going to go with some of the gore effects, and they'll probably have actually have like a
buckets of blood,
a statue there. So we're gonna probably have in real camera stuff happening with it.
Yeah.
Because just from some of the shot choice, it looks like one of those things where kind of like with the Jaws, where you don't see the animal all the time. You just see like parts of it here and there. You see enough of it so know that it's there.
I prefer that. Please stop showing us everything.
Yeah, and that could be just for the trailer, them being smart. Like, let's not show the whole thing. Let's do a reveal at the end, which good. Let's do that. We talked about that before. Don't show us everything in the trailer. Just kind of hint at it and be a little bit. Give us a little more tension there. And
that sense of foreboding.
I love that stuff. But this is also kind of seems like another story, kind of reflecting back with Mickey 17 is just about corporations just being. They're trying to harvest these, unicorns,
mythical creatures.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
we must take all of them.
We have a moral obligation because the legend is that the unicorn horn can heal pretty much any property or whatever. Yeah. And whether that's even true in the storyline or they just think it is because the myth said that, who knows? Yeah. But it's just like that's what. And then the argument is like, for this movie's making, the reason we haven't seen unicorns is because humans hunted them to near extinction, and that's why they only live on this one place here. And now the unicorns are finally fighting back. So in this way, unicorns are the good guys. We're rooting for the unicorns. You want the unicorns to win this one, and hopefully Jenna Ortega's on the side of the unicorns here. Maybe she is. We'll find out.
Maybe she gets murdered brutally. We'll find out.
Possibly.
Paul Rudd better be on that
Paul
side.
Rudd looks like he is. He looks like he's concerned about it. Like he's really excited. You hear him in the tones like he's excited. Like, oh, this is a nature preserve. This is great. Yeah. And then he sees them like hunting. Like, we go, what are you doing? He seems like he's. He probably would be one of our heroes.
Either that, or I hope he gets a great death. Just like a really brutal, great death.
All right, but that could be what they're going for. But I am excited about this movie too, and it looks like they're using their we got some comedies that are using it to make a point, and this one is really kind of taking a stab at, well, maybe the medical industry to some extent.
And it's A24, so like.
Yeah, they're one of the good studios. They always are. They're pumping out the interesting, unique stuff too. So this is I have high hopes for this one.
Me too. All right. Well, I think we've wasted enough of your time with me just going off on diatribes about random stuff. So let's go ahead and get to some trivia here. Steven, see if you can stump us this week.
All right. Here we go. Mickey 17 director Bong Joon-ho won an Oscar for directing what 2019 film?
Parasite. Yeah, Parasite. I knew that one.
There you go. It was an easy one to start off.
Yeah.
I was there when I was with you, Steve. When you played.
I have not seen Parasite yet. I've seen some of his other films, though.
Star Jack Quaid is son of which two Hollywood actors?
Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid. Oh, yeah.
Black Bag writer David Koepp made $4 million for his screenplay for his 2002 thriller. For this 2002 thriller starring Jodie Foster.
Panic Room?
I was gonna say that too. I think it's Panic Room because I didn't know he wrote it, but if it's 2002, that would
2002 Jodie Foster thriller. I feel like it's Panic Room.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have added Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
But yes. Next slide.
Yeah, we did it.
We're killing it right now.
This is the best you've ever done. Which child star? Oh!
You blew it. Shirley
right.
Temple Black, who became an ambassador.
Now, would you have known this?
I would not
go
have
back.
known
Let's
that,
go
no.
back. Let's see if we would have known it. I didn't catch
Can you go back a slide, Andre? It's okay.
We'll live.
Just use the keyboard.
What child star presents the honorary Oscar presented to Snow White in 1938?
Cinematic Achievement Oscar. It wasn't an individual.
Correct.
I might have gotten Shirley Temple because she'd been the only child star I could think of.
I would never have gotten this
That
one.
might have been the only one.
I'm not even going to lie to you right now and say I would.
There is the award. It's a fun little award.
I would have said that kid from that.
It's the only child actor from that era I remember.
What was it?
Jackie Coogan.
Coogan.
Oh man, Jackie Coogan. Yeah, I don't know. Surely I would not have gotten Shirley Temple.
All right, next one. I think there's one more. Or that's it. I don't remember. That's it. All right.
All right. Well, we did pretty good.
You did it. That's. I will give you all 4 out of 5.
We did.
No, we would not have gotten Shirley Temple. I mean, okay, Clay would have gotten Shirley
I might
Temple.
have. That's the thing is, I'll never know because the thing is,
You'll never know.
She was the only actress I would have been like, I don't know, Shirley Temple. That's all I would have been able to
And that would have counted.
Because I would have never thought Jackie Coogan.
Yeah.
I know the name, but it wouldn't have come to me.
That's the Coogan account. You know,
Exactly.
that's the whole.
I know he ended up playing Uncle Fester later on. But
True.
But
Well, 4 or 5 is like our best yet.
Oh,
so,
yeah, it's like-
I mean, I'm pretty happy.
Oh
with
yeah,
that.
that's pretty exciting. We're on the ball there.
And I didn't study at all for this one. Usually, I'm like looking up all these facts for all these.
You know, here's the
movies
funny thing. Before you started, I'm like, I bet he's gonna ask us who, Jack Quaid's parents are.
I knew it was gonna be a Jack Quaid question.
But I knew that one already, just because it's It was funny because like during the Oscars last night, his mom was the last presenter there for Billy Crystal there. So I was like, oh, there she is, Jack Quaid's mom.
Jack Quaid's mom. Meg Ryan, come on.
I know.
It's disrespectful.
She's great. And it's just they should be in a movie together where they do play mother and son. I want to see that.
We don't need to see that. What's that movie with On Golden Pond? We don't need a remake of On Golden Pond, gender reversed.
Well, now you threw it out there. It's gonna happen now. You made.
Please don't do that, Hollywood.
What are you doing?
I'll take any other movie set in New Hampshire. We can remake Jumanji. Oh wait, they already did that 10 times.
Oh no.
They just took it out of New Hampshire. All right, I'm gonna go off again.
Be careful. We don't want to cause something here.
All right, well, that is our show for this month. Be sure to stop by March 11th at 6:30 to watch A Farewell to Arms down in the library. Yeah. It is, as you said, a rare American perspective for World War I.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do with this film series here. We're just going through America at war. We're trying to go chronologically, and we got to World War I, and that's where we hit a snag when we realized there is not a lot of World War I movies that are told from the American perspective. It's almost every other country other than the United States.
There's ones with American actors that are told from British perspective.
But yeah, exactly. And so we were struggling, like, maybe do we skip World War I? And then we realized, oh wait, Hemingway wrote, Farewell. So we're like, oh, okay, we'll take. Okay, Farewell Arms. There you go. We figured it out without cheating, so we're good.
I mean, a little bit.
Well, it's an interesting film that is worth watching, but it'll be worth it, I think, to check it out too, especially if you read the book, fans of that. And this.
And then what are we doing next? The final film.
The final film we're within Red Line, actually.
Thin Red Line, really?
Yeah. Which is interesting because of Adrian Brody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Some more Adrian Brody.
Jim Caviezel stole his part.
Yeah.
In Post, which is wild. I've actually never seen The Thin Red Line, but that story blows my mind.
Neither have I, so I'm excited about it. But it's one of those films that people talk about a lot, and it's worth. But you don't get a chance to watch it too often. So it's like, come on, that's why we watch and show these films. Give
I'm not a
people
big Terrence Malick guy. I don't like to sit down for 4 hours at a time, so
contemplate.
Short attention span.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. We can. That's why we didn't see The Brutalist, right?
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately.
And that's why you weren't there for our Gettysburg screening.
Well, I mean, I got too many kids to go to any of these screenings.
Yeah, that was a long one. Well, we did have a slight.
I did think of you at like 10:30 at night that night. I was like,
it was okay.
It
went by faster than I thought. Although
That's a great movie.
We did. We had some slight technical difficulties with the first part of the disc was fine, but then we had to flip it over because it was one of those DVDs.
Oh, yeah.
And the second part was like, got a little glitchy toward the end there. And it was funny. We got the movie. We got to the part where Stonewall Jackson's like, it's my fault. I pushed you farther than ever after the Pickett's charge fails, and that's when the movie started glitching. So then I'm like. I walked up, was like, it's my fault. I took you guys too far. I pushed you farther than anyone could.
Excellent timing.
That's how I edited it. Like, it's like, but they were okay with it because the audience was like, well, we know what happens. It's history. So it's like, well, let me just, and then I threw out the word trivia on that one. But that was, we got a pretty good screening for that one. There were people who really wanted to see Gettysburg.
It's a great movie.
Oh, yeah. It's something you should check out at least once.
If you've never seen Gettysburg, go watch it. It's like a mini series though. Treat it as a mini series. Watch it over like 2 nights instead of just all at once.
Exactly.
There's an intermission. Perfect timing.
We put a couple in there, but it'll work out well. But keep on coming out there and see us for when we tackle World War I and some other history about that.
All right. Well, from
Thank
the
you
Wolf
guys very much.
Film Society, let's go watch a movie.